My name is Crystal Fletcher. I'm a lieutenant with the Charlotte-Mecklenburg Police Department in the Public Affairs Division. Thank you all for joining us here today. Every quarter, CMPD provides a public safety briefing to ensure transparency and share what we as a department are doing proactively to reduce crime and victimization. Today, we will be sharing our mid-year statistics and explaining what is driving them. This time frame will include January through June of 2025. Before we begin, I want to be clear that this briefing is focused on the first 2 quarters of this year. While we are aware of the recent incidents in Uptown that occurred in July, these events fall outside the reporting period we are discussing today. Even though these incidents are not part of today's data, I do want to remind everyone that an arrest has been made in the officer-involved shooting, and we are grateful that our officer is on the road to recovery. In addition, 2 arrests have been made in connection with the July 13th homicide. I want to ensure you that the investigation is not over and our detectives continue to actively pursue every lead. While that recent violence is deeply concerning, it's also important to recognize the broader progress we are making. I am happy to report that this year, overall crime is down by 8% compared to the same time period last year. This significant reduction is a testament to our collective efforts. Violent crime has seen a dramatic decrease of 25%. This includes homicides, rapes, robberies, and aggravated assaults, which encompass shootings. As for property crimes, Charlotte is down 5%. Property crime includes residential and commercial burglary, auto theft, and larceny. While overall crime is down compared to this same time period in 2024, a trend that we are encouraged by, we remain focused on driving these numbers even lower, addressing persistent crime, and never losing sight of the real impact on those victimized. These numbers are notable because they underscore the reality of Charlotte's safety, not just the perception. These statistics follow national standards set by the FBI's Uniform Crime Reporting Summary statistics, ensuring they accurately reflect the reality in our community. This progress in public safety is being driven by the daily efforts of our officers, data-driven resource deployment, innovative strategies, and strong, ongoing partnerships with the community. We have several speakers here today to dive deeper into the figures and reasons behind our efforts thus far this year. We ask that you hold all questions until the end of the presentation so we can provide a full picture before addressing individual topics. First up to speak about violent crime and one of our initiatives will be Deputy Chief Ryan Butler. Deputy Chief.
Good morning. I appreciate you being with us today. My name is Ryan Butler, and I currently oversee the Investigative Services Group, which includes both our Special Investigations and Criminal Investigations Bureaus. Our group is essential in investigating crimes involving our most violent offenders and those who seek to poison our communities, ensuring that we address these issues comprehensively. We rely on strong collaboration with all of our stakeholders to tackle crime and keep our community safe. That shared commitment is reflected in a 29% reduction in homicides from January through June of this year compared to the same period in 2024. There have been 42 homicides in the first 2 quarters of this year compared to 59 last year in the same period. While any homicide greater than 0 is too many, we continue to address violent crime. The results through the first half of the year are heartening, but we are profoundly aware that our work continues. In our community, there should be no reason that disputes escalate to the tragic loss of life. Our detectives work tirelessly, seeking justice for families impacted by these impetuous acts. While homicides rightly receive significant attention, Many other violent crimes and daily efforts to prevent them often go unreported in the news. From January through June of this year, robberies have dropped by 21% and aggravated assaults by 25% compared to the same period in 2024. These are results that reflect consistent behind-the-scenes efforts making a significant impact in our city. Our officers are working diligently across 411 square miles to solve cases, take illegally possessed firearms out of the hands of violent offenders, prevent violent crimes, and guide young people towards safer paths and positive opportunities. Our proactive community efforts include daily zone checks, where officers drive through neighborhoods or stop by a business simply to check in and maintain a visible presence. These actions foster the relationships we build upon to solve and dissuade crime. Already this year, our officers have completed over 150,000 zone checks. This is up 8% versus the same time in 2024. In addition to these efforts, the combined work of our officers has led to significant results this year. There have been over 277,000 police interactions from January through June, up 4% versus 2024, with officers making 8,557 arrests. That's up 13% versus 2024, and seizing 1,991 firearms, an 18% increase over last year. Among those many interactions, one of our proactive initiatives that began in October of last year, which continues to have a positive impact on crime reduction, is the Coordinated Overlap Response Effort, or what we call CORE 13. CORE 13 involves using officers in 2 squads assembled from the patrol divisions across our city. These officers are used to address both persistent and acute crime issues during peak evening overlap staffing. In the first 6 months of 2025, CORE 13 deployments have been responsible for 1,219 traffic stops, 51 arrests, and 25 seized firearms. On April 2nd, an example of their work was while officers were conducting patrols in the North Tryon Street corridor when they observed a suspicious vehicle parked illegally. Their attention to detail and investigative work led to 2 arrests, the recovery of 2 stolen firearms, suspected cocaine, and cash. This is just one example of the daily impact CORE 13 is having to disrupt violent crime before it happens. I want the community to know that CMPD is doing the work. Our officers and detectives are dedicated and diligent in their effort to keep our communities safe. I'm incredibly proud of our patrol officers who are in our neighborhoods daily, engaging with the community, observing suspicious activity, and providing our detectives with crucial information needed to solve cases and arrest violent offenders. The progress we're making in reducing violent crime comes with strong, ongoing teamwork. We're asking the community to continue being a part of that effort by reporting anything suspicious and sharing information that could help solve crimes. Any tips can be shared anonymously through Charlotte Crime Stoppers at 704-334-1600, through the P3 app, or online at charlottecrimestoppers.com. Working together, we can continue to make a real difference in helping to keep Charlotte safe and continue moving in the right direction that we all desire for our city. Now I'd like to invite Captain Michael Carter to the podium to walk through the department's focused efforts to address property crime across Charlotte. Captain Carter.
Thanks, Chief. My name is Michael Carter. I represent the men and women who serve and work in Steel Creek Division here at CMPD. As you've already heard today, overall property crime is down 5% from January through June 2025. That's this year. But behind the numbers, we're seeing a troubling pattern. Some of these crimes, particularly larceny from autos, are up 3% this year, being committed by younger offenders in our community. In the first quarter of 2024, to address this issue, our department created the Juvenile Accountability and Diversion Empowerment Team, otherwise known as JADE. This team focuses on juvenile investigations, monitors at-risk youth, and works to break the cycle of repeat offending. So far this year, JADE has been responsible for 97 arrests and the seizure of 72 firearms. Our department isn't just focused on making arrests. We are committed to making a difference in the lives of these young people. That's why our JADE officers continue to make home visits to families of these at-risk youth to provide educational resources aimed at prevention and support. So far this year, this team has made 84 home visits. These allow officers an opportunity to build meaningful relationships with the families, fostering trust and support. I'm also encouraged to report the juvenile arrests overall have declined by 16% this year, an early indication that these efforts may be helping. In June, we shared the case of a 15-year-old who had been arrested a total of 8 times by Jade and has additional arrests in other jurisdictions throughout, agencies throughout the jurisdiction. From March 31st through June 5th, this one juvenile racked up 275 charges from 8 local jurisdictions. Over 100 of these charges were for breaking and entering into vehicles and larceny of autos. Think about that for a moment. 275 charges in less than 3 months. If that doesn't alarm you, it should. Our community should be outraged and calling for real solutions and accountability. Thanks to the diligent work of our JADE officers, CNPD is making progress in deterring some of the youth crime and holding violent offenders, even young ones, accountable. While we're seeing progress in our crime statistics overall, property crimes like commercial burglaries show us where targeted attention can make a difference. During the first 2 quarters of this year, burglaries rose by 7%, including an 18% increase in commercial cases. For context, it's important to understand that most of these cases involve repeat offenders. One repeat offender I'll talk about today, Mitchell Morrison, is a convicted felon and was involved in a series of storage unit break-ins in the University City Division, resulting in more than 27 warrants and tens of thousands of dollars in stolen property. Although our officers have worked to recover the stolen property and arrested Morrison multiple times, repeat offenders are often released and able to continue committing crimes in the community. Another contributing factor to the rise in commercial burglaries is how repeat offenders are charged under current laws. When an individual has been banned from a commercial location for shoplifting, for example, returns to shoplift again, officers will show up and make the arrest, charging the subject with commercial burglary. The person committing the crime is ultimately responsible for their actions, but others must step up to ensure that they are held accountable. This includes their families, friends, judges, and agencies that focus on juvenile justice issues. As I wrap up, I would like to remind the citizens of Charlotte to take simple precautions, such as locking their vehicles and securing their valuables, to help reduce these property crimes in our jurisdiction. We also recommend taking advantage of Connect Charlotte, which allows residents and businesses to register cameras and partner with us, to enhance community safety. Please visit visit connectcharlotte.org for more information. Now I would like to introduce Sergeant Kevin Wiggins, who will be speaking on a relevant and hot topic, street takeovers and auto thefts. Sergeant.
Thank you, Captain. Good morning, everybody. Once again, my name is Sergeant Wiggins, and I'm currently assigned to the Special Events Division here at CNPD. I oversee the Street Takeover Task Force unit here at CNPD. Most of you have seen the many street takeover videos on social media showcasing illegal, reckless, and incredibly dangerous car stunts. These stunts involve large crowds standing in the street within inches of fast-moving vehicles that are doing donuts, drifting, and burnouts. This is not only a safety hazard for those involved, but also a significant nuisance to our community, causing traffic congestion, delays, and damage to property. In recent years, thanks to part new legislation, we have a greater tools to crack down on these gatherings. For example, participating in takeovers can result in a Class A1 misdemeanor for the first offense and a Class H felony for a second offense within 24 months. Additionally, heavy fines are levied ranging from $1,000 and a bond being placed on a vehicle that is seized for street takeover. The bond that is placed on that vehicle is twice the value of that vehicle. For anyone who hasn't gotten the message yet, consider this a warning. If you come to Charlotte for a street takeover, we will hold you accountable and your vehicle will be impounded. In the first 2 quarters of 2025, CNPD has responded to 25 organized street takeover events. From those 25 events, officers have arrested 7 individuals, issued 84 citations, seized 23 vehicles, 6 firearms, and have signed out 111 warrants. We will continue to track important leads to stay ahead of planned events
and take enforcement action. I also want to clear up a common misconception about vehicle seizures that CMPD is involved in. CMPD does not financially benefit from seizing vehicles. State law mandates the vehicle seizure process. If a defendant is found guilty, the vehicle is auctioned by the Mecklenburg County Sheriff's Office, and those funds go to the county school board. If charges are reduced or dismissed, the vehicle is returned to the owner. The only time CMPD takes ownership is in rare cases, either as part of a plea deal or the vehicle is modified to a point where it cannot be auctioned back out to the public. The bottom line is CMPD is focused on safety and accountability, not profit. That's why we continue to rely on your help to keep our streets safe. If you witness or have information about street takeovers, please call 911 and report to us immediately. Your vigilance can prevent dangerous situations and protect our community. Another vehicle-related crime worth highlighting are auto thefts, which are down 22% so far this year, thanks in large part to the continued efforts of our stolen car and recovery enforcement team. Just over 2 years ago, CMPD formed this team, otherwise known as Scarlet. This year alone, the team has made 102 arrests, recovered 85 stolen vehicles valued at over $7 million, and has seized 24 firearms. This is commendable work, not only protecting property owners, but also holding offenders accountable and removing dangerous weapons and substances from the streets of Charlotte. This morning so far, we've covered a lot of ground on crime statistics and the reasons behind them. But now we'd like to talk about a program CMPD developed a few years ago to improve customer service throughout CMPD. Sergeant Jeffrey Joseph will share key milestones and updates on CMPD service. Sergeant.
Thank you, Sergeant Wiggins. Good morning. I'm Sergeant Jeffrey Joseph, currently assigned to the Police and Fire Training Academy as a recruit training sergeant. Today, I'm here to talk to you about our training program called CMPD Serves. I'm proud to announce that we are now celebrating our 5-year anniversary of this innovative training program. CMPD Serves was developed in response to the 2020 civil rights demonstration across the country. We became the first law enforcement agency to implement a customer service strategic program. We have pioneered this training, and several other departments nationwide have taken interest. At its core, CMPD Serves is about promoting effective, empathetic, and respectful interactions that truly help build trust within our community and strengthen that relationship. An internal survey was conducted in 2024, which showed that 70% of our employees felt that they have applied knowledge they've learned during this training in their daily duties. The program was recently recognized nationally by the Business Intelligence Group, who named CMPD as the 2025 Organization of the Year for Customer Service Excellence. Since its launch, the program has led to measurable improvements. From 2023 to 2024, use of force incidents has dropped by 24% and occurred in less than 1% of all police interactions. During that same time period, external complaints decreased by 61%, internal complaints went down by 39%, and officer-involved shootings declined by 43%. These outcomes not only reflect just policy shifts, but also a cultural commitment to service and accountability by our officers within this department. One example of the reinforcement and culture shift is an award that we award our employees called Acts of Excellence. An Acts of Excellence is a certificate that we issue to employees who go above and beyond the call of duty. As our dedicated employees perform impactful work each day, these awards provide well-deserved positive reinforcement. Nominations for these awards come from reviewing body-worn camera footage, internal nomination from colleagues, as well as supervisors, and letters from the community. So far this year, I'm pleased to announce that we have presented 137 Acts of Excellence. We would like to invite you to experience the positive change CMPD Serves have brought to our community. Now I'd like to invite Lieutenant Crystal Fletcher back to the podium to conclude this briefing.
That concludes the speaker portion of our press conference. Now I would like to invite all of the speakers back up to the podium, and we will open it up for a few questions. Yes.
I was wondering if there's any updates on the drone pilot program that was mentioned a couple of press conferences ago.
We don't have any updates for you today, but we will follow up with you, and any information that we have, we will release from the Public Affairs Division.
Jesse, WCC. I know drive-by shootings or shootings into dwellings was a big issue in the past and so forth, and then you guys had the award or reward system where if someone, I think, made some kind of was able to help get rid of the rest and so forth. There was like a $500 something reward and so forth. Any updates on that? Is shooting into dwellings and drive-by shootings? I know I've been looking at the significant reports and so forth. And there's I've been seeing so many continued drive-by shootings into dwellings. Is that a continued issue? Is there any updates on that?
Well, I can tell you, and I know that we're going to be sharing some juvenile data, and a lot of times that previously has been our focus, and that, fortunately, that number is down. What I'll tell you is we continue to use a collaborative approach. So, Captain Carter talked about our JADE program. When we have previously identified offenders, we're trying to work with those individuals and their families to avail themselves of resources, which allows them to make better choices. We have a lot of collaboration between our patrol units, our Special Investigations Bureau detectives, and our Patrol Division investigators to focus on those. We use, the resources we have, fortunately, in our own crime laboratory to be able to tie those cases together, which, of course, makes a much more effective package for the District Attorney's Office to prosecute those cases.
Well, what we're talking about, Jay, can you touch on the scope of that unit? How many officers are assigned to that? Are they full-time assigned to that, or do they have other duties as well, that kind of thing?
So those officers come from several of our patrol divisions. That is their full-time tasking. The unit is as far as trying to solve crimes that we've tied back to juvenile offenders, and then we have officers whose focus is on doing the home visits that Captain Carter referenced, trying to outreach to the families, trying to make connections with them so we can help them access opportunities that fortunately exist in our city, so that the families and identified youth can choose a better path, can make better choices for themselves and their families.
And how many officers were part of that, you think?
Current is 8 officers.
8, 2 soldiers.
8, I'm sorry, you said 8?
8 officers and 2 sergeants currently.
And based off the results we saw, is there a plan to expand that in coming years or to grow that?
So we constantly evaluate staffing levels, but of course JADE doesn't work in a vacuum. There's a lot of overlap between the work done by our JADE officers and our crime gun suppression team detectives and our violent crime apprehension team detectives, and then of course investigators across various units. So much like every part of CMPD, we don't work in a vacuum, and so a lot of the collaboration generates leads from one area. You might have an investigation going on in Criminal Investigations Bureau where there may be or possibly be a juvenile offender, and one of the JADE officers has a previous relationship or familiarity based on previous investigation, and then they collaborate on that. So although the unit is a specified size, they're working with units across the entire city.
So you've mentioned a couple of times that repeat offenders are committing a lot of these crimes that we're seeing here. Over the past couple of months, CMPD has had some public complaints about judges releasing juveniles too early or setting bonds too low for people that commit violent crimes. Does that continue to be a frustration for the department?
Well, I think we try and work with all of our criminal justice partners to ensure that they have, the complete palette of information to make the best decisions for the community. So we will continue to conduct investigations to share that information with our partners in the District Attorney's Office and with the judges that we appear before, and that information, better leads our judicial officials to make the decisions that we would like to see for our community.
Axios, Charlotte, Alexandria Sands. I wonder if you could take some time to talk about Uptown or the Central Division. I think a lot of people are wondering right now if Uptown is safe to go to. So I'm curious, what would your message be to residents who are wondering that? What progress are you guys making? I know you're working with Center City Partners. And then also, do you guys have any data comparing this time period to last time period, specifically for Central Division and violent crime?
So, I'll tell you a couple things. So one of the things I touched on earlier in the week is there is, certainly busier parts of the week. So you're going Thursday through the weekend. There is nowhere in the city that you can go where you will find more officers per square block than you will in the Central Division. And that's a combination of on-duty units, it's off-duty units. They're one of the divisions that we have that has the fortune to have a full-time bike unit. During the, kind of peak, restaurant club hours during, the weekend, you will see an increase in officers in our congested business district, entertainment district, with units that they've brought together from across the southeast service area. So I think people will see the presence that they've always seen, but they may notice some increased presence in the areas where there's a higher concentrations of bars and restaurants and nightclubs. We also continue to partner with business owners and look for strategies that they can implement. Sometimes it's a matter of controlling traffic flow or controlling pedestrian access to create secure areas for their patrons. There's also regular collaboration with our detectives in the alcohol beverage control unit. So that collaboration is going to continue, but I think folks who, whether you live uptown or you visit uptown regularly to avail yourself of the resources there, I think you will see a very reassuring and robust CMPD presence.
Are you guys able to make data available on that?
Yeah, we'll have PIA follow up with you on the specifics.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
One last question?
Sorry, just for clarity real quick. You said there will be an increase in, there will be additional patrol in response to the uptown?
So this is a strategy that has been used previously. It's not, it's not new. And again, because you're talking about in the uptown portion of Central Division that you have such a high concentration of bars, restaurants, and nightclubs. And so, again, with any assessment we make, it's a resource allocation issue. So, you always see our bike units up there. You always see our foot patrol officers up there. And so, in addition to strategies like Operation Heartbeat that we talked about with the blue lights on, or Core 13 being in that area among other neighborhoods across the city, you will see a focus on the entertainment district, which Central Division has employed previously.
I'm sorry, just for my clarity, are you saying because this isn't a new thing, people might notice that there is an increase because there's so much attention on the resource?
Well, I think anytime, and it's unfortunate, but anytime an incident occurs, I think people's awareness changes. So if there's not an incident, you could walk 7 blocks down Tryon Street and not notice how many police officers there are. Now, we know because we're staffing, the patrol shifts on a daily basis. We know because we know what businesses request off-duty officer assistance. But if your focus has nothing to do with our presence, then you may not see officers. And you could say, I didn't see any officers. And then now you become more keenly aware. But what I will tell you is, and I've been here for over 20 years, I've never gone uptown and not seen a robust presence, at the end of the week and over the weekend. Right.
This concludes our mid-year public safety briefing. The information we shared today will be sent out in a press release, put on our newsroom and on our social media channels. If you need the spellings of the speakers' names, they are behind me on the video board. Thank you all for joining us today, and thank you to all of my speakers. Have a good day.